The reason we are covering this stock today is directly because of its technicals. It is rapidly closing in on its monthly and yearly highs. As equity analysts, when we see that kind of momentum, it instantly triggers a deeper look. In this explainer, we're stripping away the noise. We're going to look strictly at the data to unpack the fundamental mechanics driving this asset. We'll objectively weigh the strategic catalysts against the harsh financial headwinds currently shaping its valuation. So let's dive right into the technical structure. When you pull up the weekly technicals, the upward momentum accelerating right around that 172.80 rupee mark is frankly hard to ignore. The price action has violently broken through key exponential moving averages, and it's doing so alongside a massive expansion in trading volume. Now, a technical breakout like this isn't just market noise. It actually justifies exactly what we're doing here, a fundamental deep dive into the underlying strategic pivot that is literally changing the DNA of this company from the inside out. So what is the core narrative here? It's a massive transformation. Menon Bearings is actively shedding its past as just a standard domestic auto component supplier. Instead, they are pivoting incredibly hard into becoming a high-margin global exporter of specialized bimetal and die-cast parts. The catalyst driving this? We're talking multi-million-dollar U.S. export orders, lightweight EV components, and even breaking into Indian Railways braking systems. But, and here is the absolute core tension you need to watch, their explosive EBITDA margin expansion is currently locked in a brutal tug-of-war with a highly stretched 80-day international collection cycle. Let's actually unpack what this pivot looks like on the ground. Historically, Menon relied heavily on cyclical domestic demand. Think agricultural tractors, commercial vehicles, things that need standardized components. It was a reliable business, sure, but a fairly limited one. Their future state, however, is a highly aggressive pivot. They are actively building a high-margin export mode by integrating into electric vehicle and rail platforms using complex, lightweight die casting. But as you know, breaking into these advanced, highly competitive global markets requires serious defense. You have to protect that territory once you take it. And that new high-margin territory? It is defended by some extreme entry barriers. First off, it starts with incredibly complex material sciences. We're talking sintering and cold cladding, using specialized aluminum, silicon, and magnesium alloys for safety-critical powertrains. It's not easy stuff. Then there's the vertical integration. Because their Colosho facilities handle 100% of tooling and powder manufacturing strictly in-house, they retain total IP protection and completely bypassed third-party markups. But honestly, the ultimate moat here is the exceptionally high switching costs. When an OEM takes up to 9 months just to validate a bimetal part and a staggering 14+ months for aluminum die casting, dual sourcing risk drops to virtually zero. Competitors simply cannot just step in overnight. It's locked down. And we're seeing this deep moat translate directly into a financial inflection point. Now, seeing revenue scale from roughly 195 crore rupees in FY22 to nearly 300 crores projected for FY26 is definitely impressive. But the real story, the piece you really need to pay attention to, is the structural margin reset. Consolidated EBITDA margins have climbed to a highly robust 21.51% and even peaked over 25% in Q4 of FY26. Backed by solid double-digit compound annual growth rates across both revenue and profit after tax, the obvious question becomes, where exactly is all this margin expansion actually coming from? Well, breaking down the FY26 revenue drivers, the bimetal division remains the absolute cash cow. It holds a massive 72% revenue share, pulling in over 212 crores. But the true growth vector, the real engine here, is the Alco aluminum division. It holds roughly a quarter of the total revenue share right now, but its export contribution sits at a highly lucrative 41%, and that is entirely backed by a development pipeline of 63 specific EV parts. Meanwhile, braking systems is kind of a nascent segment, definitely one to keep an eye on as it moves through railway registration. But to fully unleash these high-growth segments, management had to make a pretty drastic structural move. Now, as an equity analyst, I can tell you that governance shifts are vital indicators of a company's institutional maturity. Around March 2026, we witnessed a very clear shift away from a traditional promoter-dependent style, notably separating the MD and CFO roles. But structurally speaking, the biggest move was the spin-off of Menon Bearings Limited. By fully isolating their high-growth aluminum casting operations, they can now deploy highly targeted, laser-focused capital allocation. And frankly, this isolation sets the stage perfectly for their very first major growth catalyst. That first major bullish catalyst is the massive Allison Transmission order. This agreement literally locks Menon Bearings in to supply 7.5 million thrust washers and bushings annually at a 3.73 million US dollar contract value that essentially injects roughly 2.50 crore rupees of steady, guaranteed monthly revenue support directly into the business. To absorb this kind of volume, they've had to aggressively expand capacity, pushing their overall utilization well past 85%. So this contract secures their baseline volume, right? But the next catalyst, that secures their future relevance. And that future relevance lies entirely within the EV transition. Through its Alcop subsidiary, Menon is now sitting pretty as a Tier 2 supplier to absolute heavyweights like Porsche E-Mobility and Tesla. By integrating that specialized pipeline of 63 lightweight components we talked about, they are commanding a massive premium realization of somewhere between 700 to 800 rupees per kilogram. This isn't just a basic growth play, it is a critical strategic hedge designed specifically to offset the inevitable structural decline of internal combustion engine components. The ultimate goal? Push EV sales to nearly 10% of total Alcop sales by FY27. But, and there's always a but, every growth story has a price. Every growth story has a price. And right here, the primary bearish headwind is a severe working capital strain. Expanding into these lucrative global markets has unfortunately slapped Menon with a heavily stretched 180-day North American debtor collection cycle. Think about that. That means waiting half a year just to see cash for goods you've already shipped. This liquidity bottleneck has forced total debt to balloon from 33.79 crore rupees in FY24 to nearly 46 crores in FY26. With interest expenses escalating over 5 crores, this delayed cash conversion has driven their free cash flow entirely into negative territory. And unfortunately, that financial strain is heavily compounded by geopolitical realities. Because exporting heavy automotive parts to the US right now comes with a massive geopolitical tariff drag. The specific terms of that U.S. Allison order require duty delivery paid, or DDP. In plain English, that means Menon must absorb a severe 50% upfront tariff, which is just a brutal capital burden on the balance sheet. Ultimately, only about 10 to 12% of these duties are ever actually reimbursed. Furthermore, you have the looming threat of escalating U.S. trade protectionism that could easily increase non-tariff barriers and permanently compress these hard-won export margins we've been talking about. So what does this all mean? Ultimately, the Menon Bearings thesis boils down to one core operational trade-off. On one side, you have the powerful upward force of structural margin expansion, peaking over 25% thanks to this premium global supply chain integration. On the exact opposite side, you have the crushing downward force of an acute liquidity strain, driven entirely by that brutal 180-day collection cycle and rising short-term debt. Now, their entire mitigation strategy hinges on transitioning to pre-shipment export credit in foreign currency. If they can successfully scale this 25 crore rupee limit with a government subvention, they'll essentially slash export financing costs from 8% all the way down to 4.70%. So the definitive question we have to leave you with is this. Will this financial engineering be enough to convert their explosive, high-margin accounting profits into real distributable free cash flow? Or will the heavy, crushing weight of the global working capital cycle break their momentum?